Here are a few things that you might have noticed about yourself if you clicked on this video. You skip through TV shows the moment you feel understimulated. You use your phone as an emotional regulation tool because why would you feel uncomfortable emotions when you can just numb them? Even if a TikTok seems kind of interesting, the moment it gets a little slow, you're skipping past. You can hear yourself parroting the opinions of the people that are in your phone. Your attention span is dwindling and it feels noticeable in your day-to-day life. If you've noticed any of these things, you might have a very fixable case of brain rot, the Oxford Dictionary's word of the year for 2024, meaning the mental degradation that occurs from consuming large amounts of low-quality, trivial, or unchallenging online content. Our brains are not literally rotting, but most of the people I know agree we're getting intellectually lazier and socially lazier. In this video, I'm going to talk about it, how to reverse intellectual laziness, how to feel sharp again, how to get your attention span back, and I'm going to talk about it from the place of someone who's been on this journey of reducing media in my own life and letting my brain breathe again. Number one, don't cut your phone out just yet. Do this instead. Obviously, when it comes to brain rot, your phone is a culprit, so something needs to be done about how much you are on your phone. Here's one thing to try before you attempt going cold turkey with your phone that really worked for me. I used prediction errors to change how I used my phone. So a prediction error is when you expect something to go one way, but it goes another way. So my brain would always predict, okay, this experience is going to make her happy. It's going to make her feel calm. But 10 minutes later, of course, I would usually feel worse, and noticing that mismatch is what makes it easier to change. Awareness is always what is going to change a habit loop, not knowledge. It's one thing to know that doom scrolling doesn't feel good. It's another thing to be aware of it in the moment as it's happening. Once you've tapped into the power of prediction error, make a realistic plan for reducing how much you use your phone. Nick Peterson, the author of Bumpers, has a personal rule. He won't start anything new unless he's willing to do it forever. Use that same rule when it comes to cutting down how much time you're spending on your phone. So how could you change your phone usage in a way that you could stick to for the rest of your life? That probably means cutting out the idea of changing to a flip phone. That's not really realistic to do forever for most people, but it could mean 30 minutes a day of scrolling. As always, the kindest thing that you can do for yourself in any kind of behavior change attempt is being deeply honest. If an hour before bed feels like the most realistic amount you could cut your phone usage down to, do that. Number two, create your own weekly feed. At some point this year, I vlogged myself creating a weekly vision board to make my life more interesting. And part of that weekly vision board was curating the media that I would consume within the next week. Here's what it looked like. On one side of my weekly vision board, I have media that I want to consume, and I try to keep this to media that makes me think, that grows my brain. And on my media list for this week was art journaling for self-care, 3 exercises for reflection and growth. A Skillshare class, because this video is sponsored by Skillshare, the ultimate way to boost your brain. So I followed Amanda's art journaling for self-care class. I did all of her reflection prompts, but I decided that I would do them all digitally. So these are the pages that I created using Amanda's prompts, and she also helped with things like how to fill in the spaces when there are blank little bits and bobs. She had a bunch of ideas for things to put in your art journal. She made it very easy. I started this class and I was like, I don't know how I'll go with art journaling. Is that something that I would enjoy? I finished this class going, I'm obsessed. I think I'm gonna become an art journaler. Like, it could be too soon to say, but I felt like it was meditative. Like, it felt like such a beautiful reflection practice. I also felt like I was grateful the entire time I was doing it because I was reflecting back on what I did that week, my time spent with other people, and being like, oh, like, that was so nice. But I wouldn't have gotten here if I hadn't tried something new with the guidance of someone who knows a lot more than me about the topic. Skillshare has creative classes for hobbyists, creative professionals, and everyone in between. And it's really designed to help you to bring creativity into your life. You get to learn from real talented creators who help you to strengthen your skills, boost your brain, and find more balance. The first 500 people to use my link down below or scan the QR code will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare so that you can try out classes like the one I tried, get onto your art journaling game, or learn something completely different. They have classes for everything. Click that link down in the description below or scan the QR code. Number 3, make room for original thoughts to come. Writer J.R.R. Tolkien had a huge pile of exam papers that he needed to mark, and objectively, that was a boring task to him, but he was like, okay, I'm gonna suck it up. And as he's marking these papers, he stumbles across one piece of paper that's actually blank. And as he's staring at this blank piece of paper, he has a thought, and he writes, "In a hole in a ground, there lived a hobbit." The very first sentence of The Hobbit, published in 1937. Obviously, that was a starting point for something huge, and it laid the groundwork for Tolkien's later work. And it all began because there was a moment of boredom that allowed a good idea to bubble up. Imagine if he'd had TikTok or a movie on in the background engaging his attention during that time. Great ideas have a history of popping up in moments of boredom and moments of understimulation. And experiments have shown this to be real. When people are bored, they have more creative ideas, they have better creative ideas. When you chuck on an audiobook to shower, when you put on a movie while you are cooking, when you scroll while you're walking to the bathroom, you're stopping your brain from doing what it does best, solving your problems for you. If you're not making time for your brain to breathe, you could be missing out on like huge life-changing ideas, but also just ideas to solve your own problems. An easy way to change this is to pick a mundane daily activity, whether that is cooking, showering, whatever, and name that time your no consumption time. Refuse to add a podcast to it, refuse to add a movie to it. Let your brain breathe during those specific moments. Now let's talk about the different types of brain rot, because if your feed is filled with hopecore, poetry, long form essay-like content, brain rot's probably a little bit more scared of you. And of course there is content that is going to mess with your attention span, but there are also other types of content that can cause different forms of brain rot. There's content that when you consume enough of it can skew your perspective of the world. For example, a while ago I found myself feeling more self-conscious, and in part I think it was because of what I was consuming online. I'd started listening to some pop culture podcasts, and these were like fun, sugary podcasts, but they were also evaluative. They'll talk about what's cringe, they'll pick apart one-liners that celebrities have said, all pretty typical pop culture stuff. But researchers have found that hearing evaluative gossip makes you compare yourself to the person that is being evaluated. And then it can lead to self-monitoring behavior, which can make you more self-conscious. A few months after cutting out pop culture content, I found myself feeling less self-conscious, and I genuinely do directly attribute it to the fact that I cut out pop culture content. I felt measurably less afraid of being perceived, and it made me wonder if people who are younger, who are so scared of being cringe, have almost a chronic case of that. Maybe they're seeing that kind of evaluative content on their feed all the time, and that's what's causing them to be so afraid to put themselves out there in a way that generations in the past haven't struggled with as much. Another form of brain rot is mean world syndrome. The more I found myself on TikTok comment sections, the more I realized that I was starting to see the world as more mean and more judgmental because of how horrible those comment sections are. Psychologists have a term called mean world syndrome, and usually it's about people who consume a lot of violent news and how those people start to see the whole world as a really scary place. And when you're being pushed that stuff on your social media feed on a daily basis, it can skew the way that you view the world. So don't pay attention to just how much time am I spending online. Pay attention to what you're consuming online and whether it's skewing your worldview. Notice how each piece of content makes you feel, not just about yourself, but also about the world, about other people. Generously use the I'm not interested feature that I think is on TikTok and everywhere else, and start to curate your feed so that it challenges you, but it doesn't make you self-critical or cynical. Number 5, when you feel the urge to doom scroll, try this. So something that I noticed happen when I cut down on my social media, especially when I had free time, was I felt more naturally motivated to just do stuff. And I think in part this is because when your brain is hijacked by instant rewards, why would it be motivated to do anything else? Here's one thing that I like to do to make sure I'm tapping into my motivation during those free time periods. I'll get out a little notebook and I'll write down 10 different options of things that I could do. And sometimes the first option could actually be, oh, I want to sit and sulk for an hour, or I really just doom scroll. And those are options, they're on the table. But keep on writing and eventually something will come out that is not only beneficial to future you, but you also feel kind of motivated to do, rather than defaulting to the easiest next step, which is usually media. Number 6, let's talk about a simple way to build up your attention span. When you go through TikTok or Twitter and you get into the habit of just swiping, whenever you feel slightly disinterested, slightly bored, a little distracted, it kind of seeps into your day-to-day life. It's hard to get through a conversation without being distracted. It's hard to get through a book without being distracted. All of a sudden, you just feel like you don't have the attention for anything. There's one practice that's shared by the Mindfulness for Academic Success program at Flinders University that can help with this. I think of it as monotasking with mindfulness. Pick a task that you want to do and write it at the top of a page, and then do the task. Whenever you feel tempted to pick up your phone or check your emails or whatever it is, write that distraction down and then move yourself back to the task at hand. This can strengthen your attention in ways that are very similar to meditation. When you're meditating, you're noticing distracting thoughts, bringing your attention back to the breath. When you're doing this, you're noticing distracting thoughts, bringing your attention back to the task. And the process of repeatedly bringing your attention back to the thing that you're doing strengthens those neural networks that are associated with things like attention and concentration. Number 7 is such an obvious thing, and yet if you actually do it, it will improve how much you feel pulled to be on your phone, wasting your time. One of the biggest flags for me that can heavily predict how much time I am wasting in a day is how much I am taking action, to feel less tired. When you're tired, your brain is more sensitive to dopamine. It immediately is going to start seeking out things like scrolling or even binge eating sugar or anything else that's instant gratification. Of course, it will seek out sugary content as well because it doesn't want anything that makes it think. I'm working on a video now that's all about how to stop feeling tired all the time. I'm going to add some new perspectives and ideas that I haven't talked about before. But if you're not already subscribed to my content, make sure that you hit the subscribe button so that you'll hear when that video comes out. I appreciate you so much, and I'll see you soon.